When there's something strange in your neighborhood, you know who to call. It's the Winnipeg Ghostbusters. I'm here with Adam, who's a co-founder. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And so thank you for having me, first of all. And you're going to be appearing at a lot of great events this summer, but let's start with, how did you start the Winnipeg Ghostbusters and how have you grown since then?
The Winnipeg Ghostbusters started with co-founder Chris and I. Initially, we were actually became best friends as next-door neighbors. We held annual Halloween decorations and setups on our lawns. And when it came to one year back in 2016, we were spitballing what we could do, and Chris came up with the idea and said, let's do Ghostbusters. And initially, I was actually a little hesitant on it, believe it or not, because I just didn't want to put in all the effort just for one night. However, Chris responded with, no, this is going to be much bigger than just one Halloween night. And eventually, 2 years later, once the certificate came in the mail, we were officially sanctioned by Sony Pictures. The Winnipeg Ghostbusters became a real franchise.
And that's an interesting sort of process that you have to go through. Like, you have to be officially registered to be able to do this almost, right?
That's right. So once we started gathering enough members, we reached out to Sony Pictures, and we presented our logo and what we're all about. And of course, their mandate to be an official franchise is that you have to go out into your community and give out and do as best as you can in volunteering efforts to what you see fits. We of course choose all sorts of charities around the city, including the Children's Hospital. And from there, it has expanded to what you see today.
And so tell me about maybe the sort of brotherhood that happens between you guys. You know, you all love this same movie and everyone's able to celebrate it together.
It's absolutely a sense of family, a sense of belonging, where, we are that team. The patch, definitely, it's more than just the Ghostbusters. When people come to our displays, they have actually mentioned how much they can see us working as a family. We all bring something to the table. No one, we are the sum of our parts. There's people who can construct things from, be it 3D printing, or they do their logo design, and they can do interviews.
Okay, and so if people want to catch up with you guys, where can they find you this summer?
This summer we have a couple events on the docket. We've got the Winnipeg Gold Eyes for their 80s night. There is the Challenge for Life Walk in supports of Cancer Care of Manitoba. And then, of course, at the end of October, we've got our big Comic-Con display, which we have every year, which will have featured, of course, our 25-foot Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So you can't miss us there.
Exactly. And then finally, if people want to follow along with your journeys, where can they find you? How can they get in touch and support you?
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, our email, winnipegghostbusters@gmail.com, and then, of course, our website, the Winnipeg Ghostbusters.
All right, that's Winnipeg Ghostbusters, keeping Winnipeg safe from ghosts, and it's all for a great cause. Yes, we're here with the Winnipeg Ghostbusters this morning, and the film Ghostbusters, the original one, is celebrating its 41st anniversary just a couple days ago. And for the 40th anniversary, you guys were actually in New York last year. Tell me about everything that went into that and how cool that was.
Yeah, it was amazing. We stayed about 20 minutes away from the fire hall, and I think the first thing we did when we got there was go walk to the fire hall, and we actually got to see it. We put our hands on it. It was a very emotional moment. And there were other Ghostbuster fans from all across the world there as well. Even that day before Ghostbusters Day, we saw people from UK, Mexico, the United States, all over the United States and Canada. Everyone was excited to see the festivities the next day. It was fun. Sort
of like a pilgrimage of sorts.
It was, honestly, and like on Ghostbusters Day, there were like 1,000 people there probably, all from all over the world, different Ghostbuster outfits and uniforms. There was music and celebration. There was like 4 or 5 different kind of ectos there, which was cool to see and take photos with. Just a really awesome experience if you're a Ghostbusters fan.
How cool was that to be surrounded by everyone who's just such a big fan of this same exact thing?
It had the vibe of like a Comic-Con. Except it was just all Ghostbusters, right? So like it was just extra fun to be immersed in all of these activities and just to celebrate 40 years of Ghostbusting through 5 different movies and cartoons and all this, and this big celebration. It was just so much fun.
And why do you think the original movie had that sort of impact? There are a few other franchises that have this sort of legacy behind them.
Yeah, I think Ghostbusters stuck is because it had the legacy of having a cartoon, and it had, the sequel, and it just, in the 80s was a very special time for movies and these kind of quirky comedies, and it just latched onto people, and there was toys done after that as well. So it just has this lasting effect. 41 years later, we're here still celebrating.
All right, and tell me a little bit about what goes into your full costume. I know there's lots of different parts, and it looks awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, well, we have so much equipment. We have like extra proton packs for anyone that wants to come by the Comic-Con booth sometime and try one on. We have PKE meters, and we all wear different stuff on our belt depending on what we're feeling that day. We have different colored uniforms. This one is like Ghostbusters 1, the original. There's Ghostbusters 2. There's the engineering, the black suit that came out last year for Frozen Empire. So we kind of all just do what we want to do and feel what we want to wear, and go out there as a team.
Exactly. And so besides busting ghosts, where else can people find you this summer?
So we have a couple of events coming up. We're part of the Challenge for Life. That's June 14th in support of the Cancer Care Foundation of Manitoba at Assiniboine Park. And then after that, we're at Blue Cross Park for Gold Eyes. They're doing 80s night this year, and we've been asked to come and entertain the crowd there. So we'll be doing that. I know they're showing ET on the big screen after the game. And then, of course, you can check us out at Comic-Con late October. Just before Halloween, and we have our huge setup. You can't miss us if you're there. We have a 25-foot Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So lots of opportunity to interact with us and ask us questions and maybe even get involved.
Exactly. And if anybody's worried about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, don't worry. These guys are on scene to handle him. Finally, where can people find you, support you, all that stuff?
You can check us out on our website, winnipegghostbusters.com, or also on Facebook. We're very active and we respond to messages there too.
All right, that's the Winnipeg Ghostbusters. If you're having a ghost problem, you know who to call. Yes, we're here with Winnipeg Ghostbusters this morning, and they've been cleaning up the town for almost 10 years now. And I'm here with Chris, who's one of the co-founders. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm good, thanks. And so let's start with, obviously, you guys are together, and you do a lot of great work with charities and things like that. Why is that so important for you to represent as a group and, do hospital visits and everything that you do?
Sure. Well, like part of the mandate of being an official Ghostbusters franchise is that we have to give back to the community any way we see fit. So our group chooses primarily to raise money for children's charities. We do support other charities as well, like Cancer Care and that. But the number one charity we support is the Children's Hospital Foundation.
And so you have made visits to the hospital in the past. What is that like when you walk into a room?
Well, I remember one year we went there to, give our giant check, and they were bringing the kids around for Halloween, trick-or-treating. And when those kids saw us, and, it's kind of sad, you see them, like, they're in bathrobes and all that, and they're like, oh, okay. But then they turned the corner and they saw 4 Ghostbusters there. Like, they popped so hard, and that just melts your heart when you see that. You bring, a smile to a child, that's going through treatment or some illness or injury. Nothing feels better.
Exactly. And obviously, especially for somebody of a younger age, I mean, you guys are the Ghostbusters. Your costumes are perfect, and you're able to represent that really well.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. It's one of those things, you see kids that are like 3 or 4 years old, and they come running up, and all you hear is Ghostbusters, and you look, and it's like, oh my God, this is so cool that I'm that ambassador for this brand, this franchise, and I'm passing that on to the next generation, because that kid's going to be like, oh, I remember when I was 4 years old and I saw a real Ghostbuster, and that was real to them, right? So hopefully that keeps, when this franchise keeps going, when we're long gone and hunting the city ourselves.
Exactly. And that's got to feel great, right? Obviously the movie made an impact when it came out, but to have this sort of legacy that you're able to continue in a way must feel pretty great. Yeah,
I mean, to see a franchise that's, gone through 40 plus years now, and it just keeps going. It's not something that's kind of gone to obscurity. Like you see kids playing with the toys, and they're bringing out the new movies. There's a new cartoon that's going to be released in the next couple of years on Netflix. So we're definitely seeing that huge resurgence after it. It kind of went stale for a little bit for about 20 years, but seeing it come back is just awesome, and being able to share that with my daughter or our kids, it's an awesome experience.
And there's probably a real sense of family within the group as well. I mean, you're all fans of this franchise, and you're able to celebrate it together.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you kind of throw up your flag and you say, this is who I am and what I like, and it just draws people in. And, we've grown to 15 plus members, plus our kids, and it just feels like you found your tribe. These are my brothers, this is my extended family, and our kids become close because, they hang out at events, and nothing really beats that experience.
Exactly. And what member of the original cast would you say you most embody?
I probably have to say Ray. It was played by Dan Aykroyd, because he was kind of the heart of the Ghostbusters, kind of the inner child, kind of spirits. That's kind of how I see myself, and I think a lot of people do as well.
Exactly. And finally, let's talk about what events people can expect to see you at this summer.
Sure. Well, we've done a few already. Coming up, we have the Challenge for Life Walk for Cancer Care Foundation. And for that, we're actually walking the 5K and our full proton packs for donations to the foundation. And then later on that week, actually, we're going to be at the Winnipeg Gold Eyes 80s night there on the 20th, just repping Ghostbusters and bringing that nostalgia of the 80s back.
All right. Well, if you have something strange in your neighborhood, you know who to call.